The magic of perfect form. A circle, and rising above it, an expansive cupola which gives no indication of its actual shape. This is the Centennial Hall in Breslau, or Wrocław as the city is now known. A monumental structure in every sense of the word, built to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Battle of the Nations. It was in Breslau in 1813 that King Frederick William III called upon the German people to openly resist Napoleon. With the construction of the monumental, exhibition and festival hall a century later, the wheel of architectural progress also reached the medieval Silesian city of Breslau. On June the 28th, 1911, the town council approved the construction of the Centennial Hall. Soon within sight of the heart of the historic Old Town, a tangle of beams, bars, poles and scaffolding gradually rose up, turning an architect's vision into reality. A dome with a span far wider than that of the Pantheon in Rome. In designing this gigantic dome, architect and municipal building officer Max Berg wrote architectural history. In realizing his project, Berg also erected a monument to himself. It was his fervent hope that even centuries later the hall would, as he put it, bear testimony to the culture of our age. The Centennial Hall also marked the triumph of a new type of construction material: reinforced concrete. Cement mixed with sand, gravel and water, strengthened with steel rods and cast in a mold to attain a new level of stability. It allowed Berg to form the cupola from 32 slender ribs. A bold venture. But the workers didn't share the architect's confidence. Terrified the building would collapse, they refused to remove the shuttering. Berg had to pay a passerby a gold mark to help him loosen the first clamp. From a distance, the trend-setting building bears a slight resemblance to a stepped pyramid. At its inauguration in May 1913, when the city's dignitaries, unaccompanied by their spouses, posed in front of the main entrance, they were visibly proud. The heated council debates over construction of the hall seemed forgotten. Making skillful use of the propaganda tool, the architect had gained popular support for his project, and now people flocked in droves to the 42-meter-high monument. The dome measures 65 meters across. Never before had such a huge area been spanned with reinforced concrete, a material still in its infancy. Structural engineers had checked the calculations 4 times. The world's biggest organ was installed in one of the apses. Even though it had been specially written for the hall's inauguration, Gerhard Hauptmann's work Festival, directed by Max Reinhardt, had to be withdrawn. Audiences rejected its pacifist content. Max Berg had envisaged the Centennial Hall as a stage for theatrical and musical performances. He had planned the exhibition building as a temple of culture. A radically ornate temple, concrete devoid of decoration. The structural demands determined the building's aesthetic quality. the architect steadfastly refused to embellish the material with decorative elements of any kind. In the man-made lake on the northeast side of the monumental hall, its reflection meets that of a smaller dome, one of the cupolas of the four-dome pavilion as it's known, which architect Hans Pölzig designed for the Centennial exhibition. The Centennial exhibition formed the supporting program for the commemorative celebrations. It was through the monumental Centennial Hall, however, that Breslau was still able to bathe a little in the fame of world exhibitions, which, since the mid-19th century, had proved such popular attractions in major cities. Yet visitors to the Silesian capital in 1913 were not treated to the latest developments in industry and technology. Instead, they were able to enjoy historical gardens or a Japanese park, and pick up ideas in one section of the horticultural exhibition which focused on cemetery art. From the broadly curved pergola with its 750 columns, visitors had the monument in front of them. As trend-setting as Berg's architecture was, at the same time he felt an obligation to tradition. Even though the monumental features of the hall reflect something of Wilhelminian grandiloquence, Berg's feeling for space is rooted more in the conceptual world of the Gothic. The extravagant use of space in the loftiness of medieval cathedrals was not to be seen as an end in itself. It was designed to uplift the faithful. Similarly, in the great height of his functional building, Berg wanted to generate a feeling of reverence in the visitor. The hovering cupola, the artist stated in explaining his design, is a symbol of the spiritual world. Berg had hoped the hall would become a place of pilgrimage, a temple of culture like the festival hall in Bayreuth. Not for an exclusive society, however, but for all citizens, a cathedral of democracy. In the 1930s, a totally different kind of spirit entered this secularized sacral building. The National Socialists found the Centennial Hall an ideal venue for their mammoth events. Their leading figures used the massive spatial effect as a stage for their bombastic appearances. Under the symbol of the spiritual world, the Nazi spirit of the times had found its way into the hall. In this monumental domed building, the individual thrived in the mass and also became lost in it. The passage of time. Light as an architectural building block. Berg had broken up the walls with circular bands of glass. The windows enabled the light to sweep the 126,000 cubic meters of space like a sundial. The Centennial Hall survived the 1,000-year Reich. Since the end of the Second World War, Breslau has been Polish and called Wrocław. As the town changed its name, so did the Centennial Hall. It is now known as Hala Ludowa, the People's Hall. Opposite the protruding columned porch of the main entrance, the Iglica, a monument whose name means spire or needle, soars 96 meters into the air. It was erected 3 years after the war by Polish communists to celebrate their control over the regained territories, as they were called. To emphasize the symmetry, and because of course it's sensible when access has to be provided for large masses of people, Max Berg created an entrance on 4 sides of the rotunda, corresponding to the 4 main points of the compass. The plain furnishing of the main entrance hall displays an architectural signature which many in 1913 felt was inappropriate for a representative building. The stairways and the ambulatory, even with its skylights, underline the closeness to industrial architecture. For Max Berg, who, like Hans Pölzig and of course Walter Gropius, was seeking new forms of an honest architecture, the functionality of a building took priority. And that is probably why, even after nearly 100 years, his Centennial Hall has not aged, even though in many places it seems in need of renovation. With this monument in architectural history, practicality and monumentality do not contradict each other. 126,000 cubic meters of vaulted space. The hall possesses the simple pathos of size. During the communist era in Poland, this monumental legacy continued to serve as a multi-purpose hall. For congresses, concerts and sporting events, the hall can accommodate 6,000 people. In 1997, the Hala Ludowa was equipped with new seating. Since then, with its mobile stands, it has also been suitable for opera productions, and sometimes for other activities as well. In antiquity, a cupola symbolized the cosmos. Under it, the individual can feel secure, but sometimes lost as well. The Centennial Hall. The architectural vision behind it was trend-setting, but the realization of it was also ahead of the times. Work on the foundations for the hall got underway on August 31st, 1911. By December 1912, the shell of the building had been completed. Today, a century of technical development later, the construction time could hardly be bettered, even with the use of modern machinery.